Good evening, y'all. Tomorrow is Easter. This evening we got a thunderstorm rolling through. And I've been thinking about telling you all a story. Something that happened for me a few years back. Start off with, as some of y'all may know, I've done living history for years. And I've gotten into different time periods and stuff. And over the past 7 or 8 years, I've tried to get something going on in the 19th century, especially around here. Started a group on Facebook called Eastern Mountain Folk. Oh, by the way, I'm not smoking a pipe. I think I've smoked like 7 bowls already today, and that's far more than enough. But since Lent is over with, I am having a really lovely organic Samuel Smith Perry. This is like a hard cider, but it's made from pears instead of apples. And it's really nice. It's not nearly anywhere near as sweet as American hard ciders. And it's kind of pretty similar to the Perry that I made last year. Anyways, so let me tell you a story. Anyway, so years ago I started a thing called Eastern Mountain Folk. And the idea, the time period of it was from 1840, no, 1850, no, 1840 to 1920. And a lot of you are going, well, that's way out of the black powder period. Yeah, but black powder in Appalachian, the eastern part of the United States, is still being heavily used, especially in Appalachia. Case in point, Alvin York, the World War I war hero, awarded. I'm not going to say winner of, because it's not that kind of thing, but he was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, Sergeant York. Anyways, yeah, and he grew up shooting muzzleloaders. That's what he hunted with. And in fact, he is one of the founding members of the National Muzzleloading Rifle Association. Okay, so that part's covered. So I got Eastern Mountain Man started group. Got it on YouTube. In fact, the group on Facebook. The group on Facebook is still there. Well, after getting it up and get started, I'm getting all excited and everything else like that. And I've always got grandiose plans of trying to get things started that never happen. Anyways, so I decided we want to do a kind of a rendezvous squirrel hunt. First one. So I invited a whole bunch of dudes, people on the group, and fellow reenactors I know of here around Kentucky. I even invited some guys from down in Florida and Georgia that I knew. And, well, as the weekend got closer, more and more were dropping out. Now, this was a period encampment, period hunt. Nothing brought into camp that was post-1920, okay? Keep that in mind. So I get camp set up. No one shows up. One buddy of mine from in town, he comes by and hangs out for a little while. He brings me out a cot, because I tried laying on the ground and said, oh, no. I'm too old for this. This ain't going to happen. So he brings me out a cot to throw underneath my lean-to. My lean-to made out of a ripped diamond fly tarp that I had, that I cut up and tried to make a wheeling lean-to out of it from what I had left, because it got ripped up because I used it as tarp to come up to Kentucky from Florida. Anyways, so get camp set up. I make dinner, pop some popcorn. I'd gone hunting earlier that day with my 14 gauge. Yeah, it's 14 gauge. It was the barrel of it was from an 1842 three-field smoothbore musket, 69 caliber, and it was original. And the rest of the gun was something that was made right before the Civil War from leftover parts, not a post-war one. And it's good. I've taken a lot of squirrel with it. You know, I even took some crow with it. So I get there, everything's set up, didn't really get anything, but I just putz around. You know, dress period, the whole 9 yards, and no one shows up. And that one buddy of mine shows up just to hang out for a little bit around camp, and that's it. Then he beats feet, so brings me in the cot. So I get all that set up, and I settle down for the night. I got my lean-to backed up. You got the tents. I got the trees, everything here. Rest of it, go out. It's kind of an open field. We got the dirt road. Now this all takes place in the Clay Wildlife Management Area, and I had been talking to the game wardens here about this for months. You know, I was trying to plan everything, plan for all these people, and just me showed up. So anyway, so I got my campfire. The campfire, I got this set up about 40, between 35 and 40 feet away from the tree line. It's about 15 feet away from my lean-to, from my camp. Because I really set that up so everyone could come up there and they could camp around and they could use it, but just me. So I cooked dinner, ate and all that, settled in for the night, kind of stoked the fire up a little bit, because this first time I had spent the evening in these woods, so I wasn't quite sure with the sounds and what I might run across. So I lay down. Fire's got a nice rolling number, and I settled in. I mean, that was actually night. It actually got cold. I mean, my feet were getting right chilly. So I settled in for a nice, cozy snooze. Now, besides the 14 gauge muzzleloading percussion original shotgun that I had, Fowler, a Market Fowler, I also had my 3220, or I should say my grandfather's 3220 that he bought for my grandmother in 1910. It was made in 1909. It was a K-frame, 6-inch barrel. Great handgun. That handgun had taken a lot of deer, a lot of hogs, a lot of gators in the time it was in my family. So anyways, so I'm laying there just kind of quietly. You're sleeping with one ear open, and I start to smell something. And you can hear critters walking around, but that night got kind of really quiet. You didn't even hear the owls or anything. I start to kind of get a little waft. I saw someone pissed off a skunk. It's just a slight, Then after a while I start to hear, but I figure it's a deer walking back up behind the camp. Probably about 30 feet off, something like that. And here comes that smell again. That waft. It is musky, like a skunk, mixed with it had rolled in some half-rotten dead pile of meat kind of thing. I have smelt this before, back in Florida. We'll get to the culprit in a minute. So, not only is my ear open, my eyes are open now. And I'm listening to something walking back there. And it's kind of walking past. And all of a sudden it stops about 15 feet from where the lean-to's at. takes a couple steps forward. And then a branch, about that big around, about 5-6 foot, hits the fire, the campfire. There's no trees over the campfire. The trees are, as I said, about 40 feet away. This branch went parallel from the ground, along the ground, into the fire. Well, needless to say, my tuchus was up, that pistol's in my hand, my keys were in my hand, and I beat feet over to my truck real quick. Got inside, shut the doors, sure the windows are up, locked, cranked that motor up and whipped on them lights and turned on that heater. Faster than it took for that branch to be flinging across. When I did that, whatever it was, beat feet, and I slept the night till dawn in my truck. I wasn't going nowhere. No, my stuff was there. My shotgun's still out there, and out there is going to stay till the sun come up. But yeah, so we all know the critter I'm talking about. Back home, we'd call it a skunk ape, and I've had run-ins with it before. I'll cover them later on later dates. Up here in good old Kentucky, I think they call it a skokum, or Bigfoot, or Sasquatch, or whatever. And apparently, since that incident, I started doing research, and old Kentucky's right ate up with the skokum reports going back to before Boone. Boone even started to tell a story about one that he'd run across, and some guy started running his mouth as belligerent people tend to do, and Boone didn't like being called a liar, so he shut up and never would speak of it again. Had not been for that moron running his mouth, we would have got that story. But there have been stories going back to 18th century here in Kentucky with those critters and other critters. And we'll cover those. And this is some of the stuff when I go to the Philippines, I'll also cover. So I want to learn, I want to hear about what's in the Philippines that folks talk of and kind of weigh out whether there is a plausible possibility or whether it's just folklore. Added in with the pipe smoking. And like I said, this is smoking here at Tavern. So if it ain't a pipe, well, it's something good to drink because this is a tavern. And here, we will get good tales. So, all right. So that's it on this stormy night before Easter, before the rising of Christ. For all of you who are Orthodox, Christos anasti. Christ is risen. And to my Catholic friends also, Christos anasti. Christ is risen. Y'all take care. God bless. Bye-bye.